Osho, The Art of Dying, talks on Hasidism, given at the Osho Commune International, Pune, India. Discourse number 6.
The first question. Today, at the lecture you extol the virtues of the Hasidim. But if they are so praiseworthy, so full of feeling of brotherhood, etc., why do they exclude women from their religious practices, and particularly their ecstatic religious dancing? Pratima has asked the question. It is very relevant and has to be understood. The first thing to remember, always to remember, is that never judge the past by present standards. That is not compassionate. For example, when Hasidism was arising, to allow women into a religiously ecstatic dance would have been impossible. Not that Hasidic mystics were not aware, not that they would not like to allow. They would have loved it, but it was impossible. Even Buddha was afraid to initiate women into his ardor. What was the fear? Was he an orthodox person? You cannot find more revolutionary mind. But he insisted for many years not to allow women into his ardor. The reason is to be found somewhere else. A religion has to exist in the society. If the society is too much against a certain thing, even the founder has to make few compromises. Otherwise the religion as such will not exist at all. The society is not in a condition of perfection. The society is yet not as it should be. A religion has to exist in the society, in the framework that the society allows it. Revolutionaries try to go a little further than the boundary, but even they cannot go too far. If they go too far, they will be uprooted. For example, I have no objection if meditating you go naked. I have no objection. In fact, I will support it. Because clothes are part of the repressive culture. I know it. But still, I have to insist not to go naked in the meditations. Because that creates such a trouble that even meditation will become impossible. That will be too much. Just for clothes or nudity, to destroy the whole possibility of meditation will be foolish. It would have been good if I was able to allow you to be absolutely free from clothes also. But the society will not allow us to exist at all. And we have to exist in the society. So we have to choose the lesser evil. Or take the question of drugs. I am not in support of drugs, but I am not against either. I am not in support of Timothy Leary. I don't think that you can attain to samadhi by drugs. About that I am absolutely certain. No one has ever attained to samadhi by drugs. Notwithstanding what Aldous Huxley and others say. It is too cheap. And through the chemicals there is no possibility to attain to the ultimate. But I am aware that drugs can help in a certain way. They can give you a glimpse. They cannot give you the reality, but they can give you a glimpse of the reality. And that glimpse can become a breakthrough. That glimpse can uproot you from your past and can send you on a search for the real. Even if you have seen God in your dream, your whole life will be transformed. Of course, a God in the dream is a dream. But next morning you will start looking into the world where you can find this phenomenon that has happened in your dream. So many people start their journey towards God, truth, samadhi, because they have had a certain glimpse somewhere, maybe through drugs, maybe through sexual orgasm, maybe through music, or sometimes accidentally. A person falls from a train, is hit in the head, and he has a glimpse. I'm not saying that make a method of it. But I know this has happened. A certain center in the head by accident is hit, and he had a glimpse, an explosion of light. Never again he will be the same. Now he will start searching for it. This is possible. The probable is no more probable. It has become possible. Now he has some inkling, some contact. He cannot rest now. I am not for drugs. I am not against drugs. But still in this community, in my commune, drugs cannot be allowed. Because politicians have never been very much intelligent, and one should not expect too much from them. In fact, only stupid people become interested in politics. If they were intelligent, they will not be in politics at all. So just for some ordinary small thing, the whole movement cannot be destroyed. That will be foolish. After 100 years, my attitude that drugs cannot be allowed in the ashram will be thought anti-revolutionary. Naturally. And I know it is anti-revolutionary. So let it be on the record. The Hasidic masters knew it well. It is inhuman, anti-revolutionary, not to allow women to participate into ecstatic religious ceremonies, into ecstatic dances. But the society was very much against. Because of this, the whole movement would have died. They had to prohibit. Buddhism died in India. You know why? because Buddha allowed finally women into his order. He himself is reported to have said that my religion would have lived at least 5,000 years, but now it will not live more than 500, because I am taking a very great risk. Just allowing women into his order was such a risk that Buddha says, the life of my religion is reduced by 4,500 years. Only 500 years at the most. And exactly it happened that way. Only 500 years Buddhism lived. And that life was also not at the climax, not at the optimum. Every day the life was slowing down. Every day death was coming closer and closer. What happened? The society. The society has been male-dominated for long. To allow women in a religious order was to destroy the old hierarchy, the superiority of man. Even a man like Mahavir, a very revolutionary man, is reported to have said that women cannot enter into moksha directly as women. First they will have to be born as men, and then. So no woman has entered into jhanas moksha, into nirvana directly as a woman. First she has to change her body, take a male's shape and form, and then she can enter. Why Mahavir should say this? The society, the politics of the country, the priests and the politicians, they were too much male chauvinistic. Some compromise was needed, otherwise they won't allow. Mahavir lived naked, but he himself did not allow any women to go naked, because even the society was not ready to accept him in his nudity. By and by people accepted him grudgingly, reluctantly, but to accept the idea that women can go naked would have been too much. And because Mahavir says, unless you leave everything, even clothes, unless you are so innocent like a child as you were born on the first day, you cannot enter into my kingdom of God. Hence he has to say that women cannot enter directly. If he was to say women can enter directly, then few courageous women would have come forward and would have thrown their clothes also, would have become naked, just to avoid nude women's. He has to make a very false statement, untrue, and I know he knew it is untrue, because I know I make many untrue statements. Because we have to exist in a society, in a particular state, in a particular confused state, in a particular neurotic state. If you live with mad people, you have to make few compromises. If you live with mad, at least you have to pretend that you are also mad. Here is Narendra. His father went mad 30-40 years before. He escaped from the house. After a few months he was caught in Agra and put into jail with mad people all around. A special jail was there in Lahore only for mad people. He says that for 9 months everything went okay because he was also mad. After 9 months, just by accident, he drank a whole jug of phenyl. A madman He found it in the bathroom and he drank it. That gave him vomits, nausea, diarrhea. Because of that diarrhea for 15 days continuously, he was throwing things out. His madness also disappeared. It helped. It helped like a catharsis. When his madness disappeared, then the real problem began, because he was amongst mad people. Now for the first time he became aware that where he is, somebody pulling his leg, somebody hitting on his head, and people talking and dancing, and he was no more mad. Those 3 months when he was not mad and yet with mad people were the most painful, of deep anguish and anxiety. He couldn't sleep. And he will go to the authorities and he will say, now let me out because I am no more mad. And they won't listen, because every mad person says that I am no more mad. So that is not a proof. He had to complete his sentence for 1 year. He was telling to me that those 3 months I can never forget. A continuous nightmare. 9 months I was perfectly happy because I was also mad. You cannot conceive what happens to a person when he becomes a Buddha or a Balsam. In a country, in a world which is absolutely mad, he is no more mad. But he has to live with you. He has to follow your laws, otherwise you will kill him. He has to make compromises. Of course, he cannot hope that you will make compromises with him. You are not in that state at all that you can think. But he can think. Only the higher can make compromises with the lower. Only the greater can make compromises with the lower. Only the wise person can make compromises with stupid people. So it happened that women has never been accepted. It is only just in this century, very recently, that a woman is coming out of the dark night of the past history. I have heard it happened when Golda Meir was Prime Minister of Israel. Indira Gandhi, Prime Minister of India, went to Israel. And when Indira Gandhi visited Israel, she was welcomed by Golda Meir. After seeing all the historical sites, Mistress Gandhi said, I would like to visit a synagogue. By all means, answered the Israeli Prime Minister. 2 weeks later, Mistress Gandhi stood before her cabinet. What did you learn in Israel? Asked one of the members. Many things, answered the Indian Prime Minister. But most of all, I learned that in Israel synagogues, the men pray on the first floor and the Prime Ministers worship in the balcony. 2 women. But she thought that Prime Ministers worship in the balcony and men on the floor. Once a thing settles, it is very difficult to change it, even for a Prime Minister. Even for a Prime Minister, it is difficult to change the traditional way. The Hasids were aware. But rather than destroying the whole movement, they chose to go with the society, its rules, regulations. At least let the masses reach to men. If it cannot reach to women right now, later on it will reach to women, but at least the message be rooted on the earth. I am here existing in a very alien and strange world. I would like to give you many things, but I cannot, because you yourself will resist. I would like to make you aware of many things in your being, but you will be against me. I have to go very slowly. I have to go very roundabout. Directly it cannot be done. Just see, I have done what Pratima is inquiring about the Hasidim. I have done it. In my community, men and women are no more separate. That's why Indians have stopped coming to my ashram. They cannot come. When they used to come, their questions were more or less concerned about this, that what type of ashram is this? Men and women mixing and meeting, holding each other's hands, going together, even after meditations, hugging, kissing each other. What type of thing is this? This is not good. They used to come to me. This is not good. This should not be allowed. Bhagwan, you should interfere. Because I never interfered. Because to me it is nothing wrong. Man and woman should not be made in any way distinct. They are not separate. Nobody is a higher and nobody is a lower. They are different but equal. Difference is beautiful. It has to be there. The difference has to be enhanced, but the equality has to be saved. And to me, love is a way towards God. I didn't listen to them, by and by they disappeared. Now very courageous Indians can enter here. Now only few Indians can enter here who have no repressed mind in them, who are post-Freudians. Only they can enter here. But India as a whole is pre-Freudian. Freud is still unknown to India. Freud has not yet entered into Indian soul. But I have done it. And I am a Hasid. So you can forget the old Hasids. Time was not ripe at that time. Even now it is very difficult. I have to encounter difficulties every day. For every small thing, the difficulties are there. Those difficulties can be avoided if I behave in an orthodox way. I cannot behave in an orthodox way, then there is no point for my being here. Then I cannot deliver you the message. And I cannot be absolutely revolutionary, because then there will be no possibility between you and me. And I am not in any way interested in being a martyr, because that too seems to me a sort of masochism. People who are always seeking to become martyrs are not really aware what they are doing. They are seeking suicide. I am not a martyr. I love life. I love all that is implied in life. And the original Hasid masters were as much in love with life as I am. That's why I have chosen to talk about them. When I choose to talk about some path, I choose only because that path appeals to me tremendously. They were not people who wanted to become political revolutionaries. They were not reformists. They were not trying to reform the society. They were trying to bring a mutation to the individual soul. And they had to exist in the society. Remember that always. But then what happens? Whenever a tradition gets settled, now Hasidism is a settled tradition. Now it itself has become an orthodoxy. Now the time is ripe. If the community exists in New York, a Hasidic community exists in New York, now the time is ripe, but now they themselves have become orthodox. They have their own tradition. They cannot go against Balsam. And these people who are now Hasids are not really masters. They are simply followers of the followers of the followers. You are here with me. You are face to face with something original. When you will tell it to somebody else, it will not be the original. You have heard it from me, then you will tell it to somebody. Much of it is lost. And then that person goes to somebody and delivers the message. Again, much is lost. Within few years, within few transfers, the truth is completely destroyed. Only lies are left. And again, a revolutionary movement becomes an orthodox tradition. The second question, can't you do it for me? Can't you cut my head off? Because I can't drop it. I know that because I have tried. I can do that, but there will be much trouble. Let me tell you one anecdote. Saint Peter returned to the new arrival, waiting impatiently outside the gates. I can't find your name, he reported. Would you please spell it for me? The man did so, and Saint Peter left to check his reservation lists again. In a few moments he returned, say, you are not due for 10 years. Who is your doctor? If I cut your head off, then the Saint Peter will ask you, you are not due for many lives. Who is your guru? It cannot be done by another. It is not something that can be done from the outside. In fact, you also cannot do it. You have to grow in it. It is not something that you can do or force. It comes through deeper understanding. The dropping of the head is one of the most difficult things. Because you are identified with the head. You are the head. Your thoughts, your ideologies, your religion, your politics, your scriptures, your knowledge, your identity, everything is in your head. How can you drop it? Just think of dropping the head, then who you are. Without the head, you are nobody. You have to grow into understanding. When you can grow a new head above this head, only then you can drop this head. That is the whole effort of meditation, to help you grow a new head which does not need thoughts, does not need ideologies, which is pure awareness and enough unto itself, needs no external influence to live lives from its own innermost core. When you have grown a new head, the old will be dropped very easily. It will drop on its own accord. If I force anything upon you, you will resist it. You will become afraid. You will be scared. And nobody wants to die. It is a great art to be learned. I have heard it was the day of hanging, and as Mullah Nasruddin was led to the foot of the steps of the scaffold, he suddenly stopped and refused to walk another step. "Let us go," the guard said impatiently. "What is the matter?" "Somehow," said Nasruddin, "those steps look mighty rickety. They just don't safe enough to walk up. Now he is going to be hanged. But those steps look mighty rickety. Not safe enough to walk." Even at the moment of death, a person goes on clinging to the very end. Nobody wants to die. And unless you learn to die, you will never be able to live. You will never be able to know what life is. A person who is able to die is a person who is able to live, because life and death are two aspects of the same coin. You can choose both or you can drop both, but they both come together in one parcel. They are not different things. Once you are afraid of death, you are bound to be afraid of life. That's why I am talking about this Hasidic approach. The whole approach consists of methods, ways and means of how to die. The art of dying is the art of living also. Dying as an ego is being born as a non-ego. Dying as a part is being born as a whole. Dying as man is a basic step towards being born as a God. But death is difficult, very difficult. Have you watched it? Except man, no animal can commit suicide. Not even thinking is possible for any animal to commit suicide. Have you heard any tree committing suicide? Or any animal committing suicide? No. Only man, man's intelligence can make it possible that a man can commit suicide. And I am not talking about ordinary suicide, because that is not really suicide. You simply change the body. I am talking of the ultimate suicide. Once you die the way I am teaching you to die, you will be never born again in life. You will disappear into the cosmos. You will not have any form anymore. You will become the formless. I have heard. The man was charged with trespassing on the farmer's property and shooting quail. Counsel for defense tried to confuse the farmer. Now he asked, "Are you prepared to swear that this man shot your quail?" "I didn't say he shot them," was the reply. "I said I suspected him of doing it." "Ah, now we are coming to it. What made you suspect this man?" "Well," replied the farmer, "firstly, I caught him on my land with a shotgun. Secondly, I heard a gun go off and saw some quail fall. Thirdly, I found 4 quail in his pocket, and you can't tell me them birds just flew in there and committed suicide. Only man is capable of committing suicide. That is the glory of man. Only man can be so capable to think that life is not worth living. Only man is so capable to reflect that this life is simply futile. When ordinarily people commit suicide, they don't commit because they have understood life's futility. They commit only because they have understood this life's futility, and they are hoping in another life, somewhere else, things will be better. The spiritual suicide means a man has come to understand that not only this life is futile, life as such is futile. Then he starts thinking how to get rid of being born again and again. How to get rid of getting into the tunnel of the body and be confined and be encaged. Then he starts thinking how to remain absolutely free without any form. This is what moksha is. This is what